Hey everyone, and welcome to the playoff round one review, round two preview. As always, I'm your commissioner, aka Buzzsaw, champ with the trophy. I've got so many hashtags at this point, like daddy season, whatever you want. I'm joined, as always, by Joel Gibson. Joel Gibson looking pretty sad over there. Nice to see you, though. And special guest Cody, who has been a regular, he likes holding his football trophy up, who's been kind of a regular so far, at least in the playoffs. How are we doing, gentlemen?
Meh.
It's nice to get back from vacation.
Right, yeah, exactly. That's how I felt the last month. I feel like I've just been cruising. I'm ready to get back into it. All right, well, with that being said, you know what? I'm going to switch it up. No, we're still going to start with the champs matchup. I can't do it. I can't go out of order. I was going to do just the losers bracket, but no, we're just going to go through it. I beat Steven as anticipated. I didn't have to add. My team's getting healthy, and we're ready for round two. That's it. That's all I got to say. There's not a lot for me to say. I won it in 12-1, I think it was. I lost turnovers.
Yeah, tough one for Steven. Trey Young at the end of the matchup was designated as out for the next, 2 weeks. Maybe it was 3 or 4. Mm-hmm. Without that, there was really no shot. So, good season to Steven. Good win for you. Looks like you're on to the next round.
Final four.
Yeah, shout out to Steven. None of us actually thought he was going to make it to this point. You guys, I didn't really give my 2 cents on it, but shout out to you as well for, giving him a bone, sitting Brandon Ingram this evening. That was really helpful for him.
Yeah, well, I got to keep people on my IR because I have a plan, and it's all about who plays on Monday, baby. That's it. I could have sat the whole damn squad today if it was necessary. Thanks, Steven. You will have the 5th pick for next year as we move into Dynasty. As you know, we don't give a shit about consolation brackets. So, good season, Steven. And we all love you, and we can't wait to see you next season. Next matchup is the 2 versus 7. Joel, do you want to... I'm going to let you just go ahead and talk about this one because I don't have a lot to say about it.
It was a tough one. A good win for Doug. Kept it very, very close. I think it was a respectable matchup. He only beat me by a handful of threes and a couple of blocks. Ultimately, I was not able to get it done this season. I have some young pieces that I was unwilling to drop for my long-term plans that I think are really going to benefit me long-term. So, tough. I thought I had a real shot at it this year, but my best shot comes next. Maybe next year or the year after that, but great win by...
Did I just see a light come up on your screen, Cody? What the fuck was that?
I have no idea. There was like a little thumbs up thing I think I saw. I didn't touch it.
But... Okay, I thought you were literally doing like an emote while he was like talking or something. I was like, what the... Cody, your thoughts on this matchup?
I think this just shows how strong Doug is. Joel, it was a great season. Mainly for me versus you because I swept you this year. But, your team is solid. I like a lot of the pieces you have. I think your downfall throughout the season was, Zion's lack of playing. He had a good game tonight.
Oh, wow. That's interesting that Cody would say that first. I love that.
And on top of that, Kyrie, I think that those are 2 weak spots on your team that at some point, obviously when they're there, they're playing, and they're playing well. Looking at the stats this evening, they played well. But the question is, can they get on the court? And I think that had a lot to do with your record throughout the season as well. Just my personal opinion. But like I said, your team on paper and your youth and, your studs, you definitely have a bright future, but I certainly, see some pieces that if I were you, I would look into moving on from. But as I said to start out, Doug's team, looking at it in the beginning of the year when I beat him compared to when I lost to him later in the year, is completely different, and it's certainly a team that I would not want to play in the first 2 rounds of the playoffs. That's for sure.
Joel, I'll give you a minute to respond because I know you want to, but I love all of Cody's points. I think they were fantastic. It's almost like he was parroting what I was saying earlier. It's wild.
I think Cody would be surprised to know that both Kyrie and Zion played the majority of their year, and they were not the downfall of my team.
I would be careful with you could say majority, but don't make me bring out my percentages.
Easily the majority. You have Brandon. I know your opinions on Zion, but there's still the remainder of the season, and he's played the majority of his games. What did we say? 5 out of 6 or 6 out of 7?
No. No, it's 4 out of 5. It's 80% of his games. 4 out of 5. That means he's sitting at. Okay.
And that number will still finish higher before the end of the year.
Okay. So, All right. I stand.
Guys are my problem. I think my problem is some of my younger guys waiting to develop. But I respect your opinion.
You want to know?
I will.
You want to know? No, I was just going to say, do you want to know what I think your biggest problem is, Joel? Is you had to play Doug in the first round. And Doug is the Joel Kryptonite. I don't know what it is. I don't know why. But Joel has a not great win percentage against Doug. I'm going to have to look it up because now that it's a narrative and now that I can officially push it forward. Cody, that damn emote came back up on your screen.
I didn't. Maybe it's a thumbs up. I don't know.
It just distracts me every time it comes up. But I just want to push that narrative forward. So I am going to look up all time Doug versus Joel. I need to know the percentage so as we go forward, it makes it a little bit more interesting. Joel, you have a good young team. I think that you probably could have won this matchup if you wanted to. It would have required you to drop a few extra pieces. I think Friday... you made a misstep only adding 1 when Doug added 3, and especially the Duncan Robinson thing. I thought he was a clear one. But outside of that, if you were planning for the future and you didn't plan to drop your young guys, I respect it. And just rolling the dice, you got pretty close anyway. But it just seemed like 1 or 2 more adds could have really changed the outcome.
Yeah, I'm just not willing to give up on some of those young guys, though.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Next matchup is the 3 versus 6. That is Phil demolishing, who did he beat? Adam. Not a lot to say about this one. Adam, it wasn't there. He didn't have Levine. I just don't really have a lot to say here. I mean, Phil barely said his lineups throughout the week. He didn't add. There wasn't a lot to it. Like I said, just not a lot to say about this matchup. I think that next round it's going to be really interesting to see Doug versus Phil. But like I said, Adam was kind of a dead duck, and I also think the next matchup, Neiman was a dead duck. So,
yeah, tough one for Adam. When arguably your second and third best player are sitting with Levine and Randall. He really didn't stand a chance. He needed those guys firing on all cylinders, and he missed games from McCollum. He missed games from Nurkic. And he needed really an all-time week from Giannis, and he got just kind of an average Giannis week. So just wasn't going to be enough this year against Phil, who obviously a contender being this far and has been lighting people up all year.
Yeah, and also Fox taking a step back this year, in my opinion. It's tough when a cornerstone takes such a big step back. You need to be healthy in that kind of situation, and he just wasn't this year. I mean, Levine sat a ton this year. I'm really glad somebody got rid of Levine after winning the championship. That was a brilliant move. Holy cow. But outside of that, thank you, Adam. I didn't thank you, Joel, for your participation this year. That was lovely of you to participate in the league. We look forward to having you back next year. Adam, we look forward to having you back next year. We'll see how it goes with Phil. And like I said, the last matchup is Cody's matchup. I already said before, Neiman without Embiid, kind of a snooze fest against Cody. Two dead ducks. You didn't really get to see a lot coming out of those last two matchups, and really the only interesting one was Doug versus Joel. But Cody, if you have anything to say on your matchup, you can have the floor.
Well, I do want to say before we get into my matchup, looking at Phil's team, and you mentioned he didn't, set his lineup a lot of the week. He's putting up scary numbers without setting his lineup. So
I know it's terrifying. I hear you. I get it.
That next round matchup, which I'm sure we'll talk about briefly, but that is, I would say that's going to be the matchup of the week if I was looking at a matchup. Anyway, as far as me and Neiman, I'll take it. I do want to say also that the teams that won this week, I think that we do have the best four teams right now. Anyway, obviously there's injuries and things that affected the first round, but I'm very satisfied with the win. I put up some big numbers. I led some categories most of the matchup. I haven't looked now, so I don't want to misspeak, if you will, but I love the way everything's fallen together for me. Paul George missed today, so hopefully it's not a serious knee injury.
That would be a shame if Paul George missed this coming matchup as the person that traded him to you. That'd be fucking wild, Cody. That'd be wild.
It would be wild. I will say, he hasn't been spectacular of late. I guess he's had a couple decent games, but he hasn't been shooting too well and things like that. So if anything, that'll open up a cycle spot for me, which could prove to be more powerful than, than him playing sometimes. But of course, it's always, hearsay. We don't know, but I'm just really happy that I'm filling up some stats. I have some really strong categories, and I certainly look forward to the next week, or the next matchup, I guess, because it's more than 1 week.
Yep. Joel, anything on this lovely matchup?
Without Embiid, this was just beat down. Did Paul George miss the majority of games? Just Sundays?
Just Sundays. I don't think he might have missed the one right before the All-Star break to rest him, but I think just Sundays so far. I think he played right after the All-Star break, though.
I gotcha. Yeah. Cody's team is no joke. He's deep, and he's going to be a problem for who next.
Yeah, wow, that's heavy. I'm sure it's heavy on the mind of this next round opponent. That being said, thank you, Neiman, for your participation this year. At least you weren't the 1 seed and lost in the first round. This year, you were the 5 seed and lost in the first round. So a victory for Neiman overall, if you ask me. The next thing we'll talk about just briefly is Jake. Jake now, based on how the losers bracket shook out, Matt lost. So that means that Jake has the top 3 picks of next year's draft. Neiman has the number 4 pick. Number 5 is Steven. And then back to Jake because it's Joel's pick. So next season, Jake has 4 of the top 6 picks. So shout out to Jake. And shout out to all of the losers bracket people. None of you really had your pick except for Jake. So, thanks, guys. We'll see you next season. Anything?
I heard this draft is not the year to have draft picks, but we'll see.
Correct, yeah. If there was a year that I'd be more than happy to not have a draft pick, it's probably this one. But we'll see what Jake does. What do I know? He traded Josh Giddey in the first for Anthony Edwards. So clearly he's playing chess and we're playing checkers. So he might be able to pull out something out of the top of the draft. Good luck, Jake. All right.
Hey, I think those were some great moves.
I'm sure you do. All right. Well, with that being said, we'll just get right into the round 2 playoffs. The round 2 of the playoffs, the final 4. As always, we'll start with the reigning champs matchup and his quest to win 3 in a row, to do what has only been done once before by Joel Gibson. It's me. I'm home against Cody. The 1 versus the 4. How do I put this politely? I'm going to beat your ass, Cody. I'm going to beat your ass. If you're looking at the stats, it's actually really close. I've spent the last month really getting in there to a strategy, looking at stats, looking at trends and averages over the year, weak categories, strong categories, stuff like that. Really complex stuff, which you need to get into if you want to be a champion in this league. And all my calculations keep coming out to one thing. Mr. Modest wins this matchup. Cody, how do you feel?
I feel we're 2 categories away from, that changing. I did keep an eye on all the categories throughout the matchup. I know you had early on some ad drops. I know you're getting healthy as well, but I might have made one acquisition just to fill out the roster early on in my matchup. And without cycling, I currently, and obviously games are still playing, so some things could change. But I currently have 6 categories on you, 2 of which are literally one away. And I believe it is 3-pointers. Is that it was double doubles, and I'm sorry, I was just looking very quickly.
3s and steals were close for us, if I remember.
No, 3s are not. Wait, 3s are not that close. It was steals were at 1 and double doubles were at 1.
Oh.
So, as you know, I am more than willing to kick and punt the triple double. So, congratulations, you're going to get at least 1 category this week or this matchup.
Excellent.
Thank you. I will say, I look forward to cycling and spending some money. I look forward to making this a good matchup. I understand what's on the line. I have momentum from one league. I know that you don't care for this in this video. I know you care for it outside the video, but I have winning. I'm on a winning streak. I like where I'm heading, and it's good. In all seriousness, it is going to be a really good matchup. It's something that I've kept an eye on throughout the last month that we've been in this matchup. And you have made a surge in the last couple of days, because I had 8 categories for most of the matchup in round 1. So, anything can happen. You are getting healthy. I'm excited to see what we do cycle wise, and hopefully I don't fumble it. I would love to have another championship and to bother Becca. But I also know that she's cheering for you. So
yeah, just real quick, and then we'll get to Joel. Becca has agreed to send me a thank you card if I win this matchup. So just a little bit more on the line. I plan to frame that bitch, and it will be in my house. At least for a year, I will hang it in the house. So that'll be my plan if I win this matchup. But that being said, Joel, go ahead and break the tiebreaker, and also while you're at it, break Cody's heart.
It's really, really close. I am concerned about Paul George just randomly sitting with knee soreness. OG Anunoby still being out.
No way he plays in this matchup. No way OG plays in this matchup. He's out. So you can toss him to the wind.
I've already written him off.
Meanwhile, Brandon is fairly healthy. It looks like Tyler Hero is questionable or probable for Monday. I forget. But Ingram is healthy on the Is Cody gonna, be ballsy and drop Mark Williams to the we'll just but
maybe CJ will pick him up.
I don't know. I think Joel would be in the market for a little Mark Williams. He believes in those young fellas.
Joel would be very in the market. And Brick, who I want off it. So I think that both of you guys have to drop a player that you just want to in order to come up. And I'm banking on it. But one I think that's kind of key to this match that I'm surprised Brandon didn't mention. DeJounte Murray to run the show for the next. There's no trade. It's just old school DeJounte, and that's a problem. I think.
Yeah.
Is a lot disappointing this year, but if he really shines over these next, that's huge for Brandon.
Yeah, I agree, and it sucks, Joel, because you're cutting in a little bit, and so it's kind of hard to understand what you were saying, but I can fill in the spaces. Joel wants me to drop Trey Murphy. That's the one thing we didn't hear earlier. The second thing is that DeJounte Murray, is he going to be regular DeJounte Murray, or is he going to run the show with Trae Young being out? I think that you're going to see mighty DeJounte Murray at least as long as Trey's out. There's no reason to rush Trey back. So even if I have a week of super DeJounte, that is going to be a game changer. A lot of things as far as my health goes. I didn't play a lot of people because they were healthy on my IR. Freddie, Ingram, a lot of stuff that doesn't necessarily go into my averages. But I did like towards the end of the week, like Cody said, I had a surge. So with that being said, like I said, Joel, you didn't officially pick one of us, I don't think.
What I was starting to say that the Trae Young being out the next 4 weeks, so there is no chance that he's coming back during your match.
Oh, do I have Super DeJounte? When did this come out?
February 25th at 1:50 p.m. Eastern time.
Oh, today. Oh, okay. I thought it's been a while, and I just. Oh, well, that is awesome. That is very titillating. I enjoy that. Hey, I tell you what, I'm definitely picking me now.
That wasn't much of a question.
So that small advantage, I give it to Brandon. It's just enough to tip the scale.
Woo! We like that. We like that
For the
a lot.
record, I am still picking me.
Okay. Thank you, Cody. I'm very excited.
I wasn't sure if I made that clear or not.
All right. Well, with that being said, we'll just move on to the next matchup, which is probably a more exciting matchup. And I didn't think that was actually possible. Phil, number 3 at number 2, Doug. The absolute rocket at the end of the season that is Doug. His team, I think the biggest thing, especially for this matchup for me, is if LaMelo comes back. I am kind of the camp. Everybody's like, he's questionable. Oh my gosh, he's going to play, blah, blah, blah. I would be shocked if he does. I really would. I think it's kind of me going out on a limb here. But what's the point? They've got a lot of young guys. Just let the kids play. And also, me having Trey Mann is kind of invested in Ball not coming back. But if Ball comes back, I think that adds another whole layer to Doug's team. And also a thing that we have to consider with Phil's team, is he going to set his lineups? Is he going to add from the wire? Doug's going to add from the wire. I know Doug's going to add from the wire. We saw it this week against Joel. So it's tough for me to pick Phil when I don't have confidence in him setting his lineups. I think that Phil putting up scary, scary numbers without cycling, without setting his lineups, makes him probably a favorite, but only if he's going to actually commit to this matchup. Doug has been loving life. He's been adding. He's been on an absolute roller coaster ride. I'm staying with the hot hand here. I'm picking Doug. But I still don't want LaMelo Ball to come back. Cody.
So right now, I looked at the head-to-head. Phil's winning this 8-5 right now. And he, as we keep mentioning, he didn't set his lineup. So I think that this is, this is the most intriguing matchup of the playoffs right now. And despite not setting his lineup, and I know Doug has some injuries, I think that makes it even. I choose to think that Phil knew that this matchup, his first round matchup, was over early. So I choose to think that he set his lineup, but if I forgot a day, I thought about it in my own matchup as well. The reason I didn't was because I wanted to see what my team stacked up against with you. I think that Phil took this as a little bit of a vacation where it was I really don't need to set my lineup. I'm just going to make sure that I win the matchup and call it a day. I chose Phil to win in the first round, banking on him setting his lineup. Phil's team, is fantastic. Doug's team's also fantastic. Phil scored more points than Doug. This matchup, as much as I like Doug's team, I think both teams are scary to see in the next round, regardless if it's you or I. But I am going to pick Phil to win this matchup. I just think that when it comes time, Phil is a 2-time champion in my fantasy football league, so he can set his lineup when he needs to. I'm banking that he does it again this weekend or this matchup, and he gets it done.
Joel.
I also am going to pick Phil, even though Doug just snuck one on me. The reason being, I got a really close look at Doug's team, and they are very good, but obviously they're very good, but I did see some holes. If LaMelo's not going to come back, that's huge. Scotty Barnes is not a regular triple-double threat, and he got that triple-double on me, and that was key in our matchup. I think it's safe to bet. It's more likely than not, or less likely than. I don't think he's going to get another triple-double this matchup, is what I'm trying to say. And if he doesn't have that, that's going to really hurt him going against Luka. The other thing happen is Denny Adavida. I can't say his last name, but he's not going to average 35-12 this matchup like he did against me. It's just not going to fucking happen.
Well, he sat the last 2 games. So, that's an interesting thing. And it's Avdia. Like oven, just Avdia.
But those things said, Miles Bridges was also really, really good due to cool down. I just think Phil, if he has a big cycle rotation, he can take Doug.
All right. Well, I agree. I'm going to be interested to see what Phil does. If he comes out of the gate firing, then we're going to see how it goes. I tend to agree with you guys that if Phil decides to set his lineups and everything, that he probably wins this matchup. But if he does not, then, or heaven forbid something happened, there's always things that can happen over the 2-week spot. We're going to see what Doug, what Phil, what they're willing to give up, what I'm willing to give up, what Cody's willing to give up. Bunch of scavenger vultures out there on the wire, I'm sure, watching it every day as we go through this for Dynasty. So, big weeks coming. Cody, I do wish you good luck. I wish Doug and Phil also good luck. Joel, I wish you good luck for next season. And we will be talking we'll talk to you guys on Sunday. If you have any questions, let me know. Outside of that, anything else from you, Cody? Thanks for joining.
Do we mention who's the home team? Doug was the 2 seed, right?
Correct. Yes, Phil at Doug.
That is something, but I'm still picking Phil. But no, best of luck, Brandon. I really would love to, double fist in all my video. Oh gosh, could you imagine 2 sets of videos me double fisting? But I would greatly, best of luck, and I'm really intrigued to see what's going to happen in that other matchup. That I think is that's a crazy matchup, and I'm really excited to see it.
Joel, anything else from you?
I'm gonna get your motherfucker here.
All right. Last thing I would like to point out. Here's the trophy, real close for everybody. You'll see that the last thing on here is Joel Gibson's 2020 engraved in there. I still have not engraved any of my championships on the trophy. And if you want to know why, that's because your boy's still confident. The third one's coming home, gentlemen. All East season. Good luck. See you guys on next Sunday. Later.